Welcome to the Home Buyers Series. I am here today with Mike Baker from Baker Street Home Inspections, and today we're going to attempt to demystify the home buying process, starting with home inspections. So, Mike, tell me, what is a home inspector? And why are they important when buying a home?
Yeah, home inspectors are, we're the building professionals who are trained to evaluate a house. And, we're going to look at all the components within a house and help, a home buyer kind of find their way through the process. So,
okay.
Yeah, very important part of the home buying process because we're just gathering information about the house, okay. And then the client can
make an informed decision.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. What major concerns arise during a home inspection that would significantly alter the integrity of the home? I mean, we just kind of talked about having a good hat and a good pair of boots. So if, there are structural issues, or what are kind of the major red flags you want to look out for?
Yeah, again, that foundation is a pretty important part of it. So, that would be one where we're needing to really have a close look at it. And, those are the types of things we find during home inspections. So if it's a structural issue and it's a big concern, your home inspector should be kind of recommending to have environmental or
engineer.
Yeah, an engineer come, a structural engineer come and review things, and then you can you get a bit more information from them.
So when major issues arise, you want to have your realtor reach out to, a contractor, an independent professional in that area to do further due diligence. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. That's a big part of the process. Is step one is the home inspection.
Right.
But yeah, you do find that that's not the last step. We do have to get a bit more information.
Right.
So sometimes home buyers are a bit surprised by that. They think that once they have the home inspection done, that's it.
Right.
But you do, often have to get some quotes from qualified contractors just to really understand the costs that we're dealing with.
Right. Step one, home inspection. Step two, further due diligence from qualified professionals.
That's right.
Love it. So Mike, what are some of the considerations home buyers should be aware of when they're choosing their home inspector?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's experience would be kind of your main one, and that way, you're getting a more experienced inspector, and their background as well is important.
Okay. Is there some sort of certification that you guys have?
Yeah, within the home inspection industry, there's the Home Inspectors Association of British Columbia, of which I'm a member, because they do set that gold standard when it comes to home inspectors and continuing education and, keeping the best inspectors in the industry.
The best.
Yeah, so you can, so that's actually a good resource even if you go to www.hibc.ca. They have a find an inspector tool.
Okay.
And you can look for inspector in your area.
Awesome.
And, it's a very helpful thing.
That sounds very handy. What should you expect and not expect from your home inspector?
Yeah, your home inspector should be going to all the accessible areas within the house. So, some of those areas are attics and crawl spaces. It's important that we get in these areas and evaluate them during the home inspection.
All the places you don't want to go.
Yeah, it's true. Not many people hang out in their attics or crawl spaces, but home inspectors, they should be in there.
Right.
Yeah, and some of the things that can come up for home inspectors where the expectation might be a little bit off is, if it's a really steeply pitched roof, so we can't walk those.
Right.
If there's snow cover on the roof, those types of things, that can limit the inspection.
Okay.
So, but a good home inspector will tell you, what limitations we're seeing at the house that day.
Okay. And we kind of touched on this earlier, but if people have questions about the costs associated with repairs, are you at liberty to give those quotes?
No, as a home inspector, it's always best just to, this is a step one, and step two is getting that qualified contractor to give the quotes.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are quoting jobs regularly, and construction materials change in prices, labor prices change.
Right.
So you want someone who's really
in tune with what's going on
that's
in
right.
today's world.
Yeah. Very, and then the home inspectors, we get kind of insulated in our own world too. So you definitely want those building professionals who are out there doing the job to do the quote.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what HRV stands for, what an HRV system is, and how does it work?
Right. Yeah, we're starting to see HRV systems more these days.
Okay. In beautiful new houses such as this one.
Right. Yeah, so builders are using those because we're building tighter and tighter houses, and an HRV stands for heat recovery ventilator.
Okay.
So it's a device that is used to move air in the house, and it's basically taking air from all the rooms in the house and kind of venting it outside, but before it exits the building, we're bringing fresh air in, and there's a heat exchanger, and it's passing as much air, much heat into that air coming in as they can manage. So so that it's tempered air. It's not cold outside air being blown into a house. So as our codes changed over the years, those tight houses, we know that we have to deliver good air to the house as well.
Okay. So it's essentially pushing the stale air out and bringing fresh air in.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah. They're great tools.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Awesome. What is electrical amperage, and what's the difference between, say, 100 amp service or 200 amp service?
Right. Yeah, so electrical amperage is the measurement of the current, coming into the house. So each utility company kind of has some conductors coming into the house, and those conductors are determining how much amperage can come into your home.
Okay.
And so, now if we're building a new house, we're putting 200 amps in those houses. We've discovered that that's, ample.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, it's good. It kind of has, it gives enough amperage for all the devices that we use these days.
Okay.
We used to build houses with 60 amps, 75 amps, then 100, 125, then 150. Right. Now we're at 200.
Okay.
So looking at older houses, sometimes you can, if you're seeing 100 amps and it's a small house, that might just be cutting it, but it might not give you much room for expansion.
Right.
So if you're planning
no hot tubs,
you want to put a suite in with with an oven and a dryer and stuff.
EV.
Yeah, or EV charging, or things like that are going to put more draw on the electrical system. If it's 100 amps, that can be sometimes not quite enough.
Limiting.
Yeah, okay. So having that identified in the home inspection process gets you thinking about it, and then you can take the next steps to discover what you want to do with the house and that amperage.
Okay. Yeah. And if you're looking at an electrical panel, is there an easy way to tell what the amperage is?
Yeah, so if you go to the main panel, the main breaker does have some, it does often have a rating on it. Okay. So that can tell you your service size. So it can be pretty easy to kind of at a glance tell the electrical service size of the house by looking at the main panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to show us?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So this is the main panel for the house here. This is in the garage.
Very nice.
Yeah, and you can see it's got all the house breakers on it. And there's one at the bottom here, it's the main breaker. And this one's got the amperage rating right on the front of the handle for the breaker. So you can see here that that's 200 amps at this house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. So simple.
Yeah.
Yet very complicated. Don't try this at home, kids. Recently, the market was totally bananas, and people were going into their offers guns blazing, subject free, waiving subject to inspection. What are some of the implications of this and things that you're seeing surface now because of this?
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy couple of years. It was not great to see that within our market because those home buyers are, skipping past the key part of having a home inspection as part of the home buying process. So, and without that home inspection, you can just inherit the issues that the previous owner had with the house, sometimes unknowingly, and then you're on the hook for those repairs once they become an issue. So more lately, I've been doing home inspections as a pre-listing inspection. So this is someone who owns a house and they just want to know what's going on. And in this case, they had bought within the last few years and it was too competitive for them to get a home inspection. Right. So we're doing these types of inspections and telling them about their houses and potential issues in there. And sometimes they're issues that don't get seen. They're in an attic or a crawl space. So very, very important to have that home inspection.
So would you say you're almost like protecting your investment by getting a home inspection done prior to removing subjects?
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it because, we want to know as much about it as we can. And so by paying for that home inspection, you're collecting that information and then you're sitting with that information afterwards, looking at an inspection report and you can at that point be talking with your realty professional about the next few steps you want to take. Right. Sometimes that's we need to get quotes, and sometimes you go into that renegotiation process, or it's just depending on kind of the comfort of the buyer as well. So
yeah. I mean, I've found in my experience that sometimes sellers aren't willing to open up the negotiations, so you can kind of expect to you could walk away at that point if there's too much going on. You could try and renegotiate, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Or you can know what you're getting yourself into. So, you're just walking into this transaction with your eyes wide open, which is so important.
Yeah. And it gives you options in that situation, right? Rather than kind of feeling like you're stuck.
Yes.
Like you've got a home inspection and you can kind of move past it with the right information in your hands. Yeah.
So without further ado, I'm sure people are wondering, how much does a home inspection cost?
Yeah, it does vary greatly from house to house.
Right.
Some houses take longer to inspect than others. I start with the square footage of the house, the age of the house, and if there's extra buildings, those types of things. Sometimes it depends on where, which town we're in. Right. There's the Gulf Islands nearby. Those take a little longer to get to. Right. So you'll get higher prices in some of those areas.
Of course.
But it does change and it varies, and you don't really necessarily want to be shopping for the cheapest home inspector around.
Right.
Experience is so valuable. Right. And so having that, you can sometimes pay a little bit more for an inspection, and you're getting an inspector who's actually going to find some of these issues and inform you properly about them, and then it can save you thousands really on what on your purchase. So
or it could potentially save you from buying a lemon.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, sometimes, yes, you definitely want that experienced inspector in there rather than maybe the cheapest person around. So don't necessarily recommend kind of going for the cheapest one. Okay. You want to, again, that HIABC website's great, and look for those experienced inspectors.
Speaking of experienced home inspectors, how can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me online. So my website's www.bakerstreethi.com.
Okay.
And shoot me an email or a phone call, and we'll set you up with an inspection. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
It's very informative.
Yeah.
This is Mike and Richelle signing off.